Hello and welcome. You hear about generative AI everywhere, right? Well, today we're cutting through all that noise to see what the data actually tells us. We're going to break down the biggest study ever on how people use ChatGPT to find the insights that you can use to shape your business strategy. Let's dive in.
First, just try to get your head around the scale of this thing. As of last summer, ChatGPT had 700 million active users every single week. That is roughly 10% of the entire adult population of Earth. This isn't some niche tool for techies anymore. It's a massive, fundamental shift in how we all work and live.
So, that leads to the million-dollar question, right? What are 700 million people a week actually doing with it? The headlines are always about developers using it for coding or maybe students trying to cheat on their homework. But as we're about to see, that's not even close to the real story. It's a tiny, tiny piece of the puzzle. To get to the truth, we're going to frame this whole thing as myth versus reality. And we're using data from a really groundbreaking study by the National Bureau of Economic Research and, get this, OpenAI's own team. So this is the first real official look under the hood. All right, first myth on the chopping block. ChatGPT is mainly a work tool. The reality? Nope. It's way more of a life tool. And while its use at work is definitely growing, the study found that personal, non-work-related use is actually growing even faster. And the numbers here are pretty stark. Last year, personal use absolutely exploded, making up nearly 70% of all conversations. Now, think about the takeaway here for any business leader. It's huge. Your employees, your customers, they are already AI native in their personal lives. That fluency is an incredible, untapped well of skill just waiting for you to tap into. Okay, myth number 2. It's a coder's tool. Again, the data tells a completely different story. Coding gets a lot of the press, for sure, but the real killer app for business, the #1 work-related task by a country mile, is writing. We're talking drafting, editing, summarizing, translating, just refining text. This is where the action is. And if we zoom out to the big picture, you can see that almost 80% of everything people do with ChatGPT, work and personal, falls into just 3 simple buckets. Getting practical guidance, like how-to advice, writing, which we just talked about, and seeking information, kind of like a supercharged Google search. The pattern here is crystal clear. It's all about practical, everyday help. So this pattern of use builds up to what is, I think, the single most important insight from this entire study. It shows this fundamental shift in how we're starting to use AI. We're treating it less like an intern we can boss around and more like a co-pilot for our own thinking. The researchers basically broke down every interaction into 2 main types. There's doing, which is when you tell the AI to, do a task and give you an output, like write me an email. And then there's asking, where you're seeking advice or ideas to help you make a better decision. So think of it like this. Are you using AI as an intern or as a trusted advisor? And here's the big reveal. Across everyone, asking for advice has now become the #1 thing we do. We're starting to value ChatGPT more as a thought partner, as a decision support tool, than just a machine that spits out text. And this is the category that's growing the fastest and gets the highest satisfaction scores from users. But, and this is a really critical but for businesses, when you look at only work-related tasks, doing is still king, making up about 56% of use. And what's driving that? You guessed it. It's overwhelmingly those writing tasks we talked about earlier. This shows us exactly where the most solid, measurable productivity gains are happening right now, in automating how we generate and polish text. The study's authors pretty much say it all right here. They conclude that the real economic value isn't just in automating tasks, the doing, but in making your people's judgment better through asking. The biggest wins come from making your smartest employees even smarter. Okay, so we've looked at the data, we've seen the trends. Now let's get practical. How do you actually turn these insights about asking versus doing into a real competitive advantage for your team? For anyone in the C-suite, the message is clear. It's time to shift your focus. Move away from thinking about AI as just a way to automate and cut costs, and start thinking about it as a way to augment decisions and create value. The biggest return on your investment won't come from replacing junior tasks. It'll come from supercharging the judgment of your most valuable experts. If you're a manager, this means you need to think about training a bit differently. Train your teams to use AI as a sparring partner, a place to bounce around ideas. Get them using it for all those high-frequency writing tasks, like summarizing long reports or client emails. And most importantly, teach them the art of asking, how to use the AI to get feedback and improve their work before it even lands on your desk. And for the folks in sales and marketing, this stuff is just gold. Sales teams can use it for doing tasks like instantly refining sales pitches or personalizing outreach emails at a huge scale. Marketing can use it for practical guidance, like brainstorming new campaign ideas or drafting 50 different versions of ad copy in seconds. And both teams can use the power of asking to get instant advice on market trends or what their competitors are up to. At the end of the day, the real value isn't just having access to the tech. It's about the strategy you build around it. It's about the questions you empower your people to ask. So I'll leave you with this one question to take back to your teams. Is your current AI strategy built just for automation, just for doing things? Or is it really built to empower your people to make smarter, faster decisions through asking? Because all the data suggests that's where the biggest opportunity is waiting. And on that note, this explainer was itself a collaboration between a human and an AI. The human in this case is me, Jalen Noor. Thanks so much for your time today, and we'll see you next time as we keep making complex topics clear and actionable.